Okay. Okay. All right. Today we'll be talking about something very interesting. I mean, a lot of things. We're talking about transactions in, in PostgreSQL, working with transactions. We're talking about creating views. It's they're all interesting things. Views, you will see a view like it will look like a table, but it's actually not a table in quotes, normal table in quotes. We'll talk about short thing that we're talking about. We're talking about views. We're talking about case statements. Case statements. So that's basically. I don't know if you have. I'm sure we have worked in Excel before. At least at this point, if you're at SQL, you must have worked with Excel at least by now. You don't just go all the way to SQL. You go all the way. It's progressive, and when you're working with Excel, the if function. Yeah, I'm sure we're aware about that or of that. So we're going to be working with something close to that. So in Postgres, use the case when, then this, case when. I'll show you all of these things I'm talking about. So very, 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 very interesting stuff. So I'd like to ask, were we able to look through, I know the previous, I think I sent some previous questions, some short questions for us to attempt. Were we able to look at it? Was the progress? Or did I not send something like that? I just need a confirmation. Yeah, I want to know if we had trouble attempting the previous
Um,
question sent.
I'm sorry. On my side, I've not been okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
On
Go
my
ahead,
side,
go
I've
ahead.
not been able to look at those questions, sir, kindly. But I will make sure I'll check on them before the class ends, like before you close the whole thing.
Please do. Additionally to that, we also have course projects that was sent to our mails just to consolidate everything we've learned. And I don't know if we're aware of external. Since my screen is shared, I can show you. I don't know if we're aware of external, what's it called, websites that we can use to practice SQL, for example. Something like what's it called? Something like the W3 schools. I don't know if we're aware of that, W3 schools, or we're aware of things like, for me, one of the W3 schools is good. I mean, I use it a lot to just remind myself of concepts. Why it's taking time. You can see that. Then there's the SQL Zoo. I sent this to the mail though. SQL Zoo, SQL Zoo. There's W3 schools, there's SQL Zoo. This can just help us to what's the word? To be a bit better, to aid our practice when we're working with SQL. They are very helpful. So far, so good from what I've seen. I'm supposed to show you this website, but I don't know what's going on with my network. It's just not the best thing ever. Yes. So I shall send what I'm trying to say. I shall send it to the mail. So this is SQL. So for example, if I open it up, you see to show me an interface where I can practice online on any of my devices. I can practice SQL. And when you see it, you first see this is my SQL. So this will be external, additions after our classes. So this is set on my SQL. So you can always come all the way here, change it to PostgreSQL. So when you change to PostgreSQL, you can be able to practice basics, count, join. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. W3 schools too. I don't know if we're aware of it. I just want to show us this pro start class. You can learn a lot of languages here, mostly for free. Like just get the syntax, the base syntax, and important things. So SQL should be around where I don't know. I've probably passed it. SQL, see, yeah, it's around here. You can see a lot of SQL tutorials and things like that, which you can just help consolidate our foundations or our knowledge on these concepts. So this will be after class. I specifically like the SQL Zoo. I use it a lot, because like it can be on your phone, you can be on your tab, you can be on something else, and you can practice your SQL and make yourself better. Make yourself better. So that's what I wanted to show us. And let's get ahead. I'm seeing a chat here. Oh, videos. I prefer YouTube. Okay. I can link you up to some YouTube videos probably after the class. Probably after the class. I have to check one or two things from my end. So yes, we're going to be talking about something very interesting, error handling in PostgreSQL. We'll talk about transactions in PostgreSQL. So the thing with error handling, especially with Postgres and specifically pgadmin, I don't know if we have been noticing, but so far so good. It's pgadmin is very intelligent. Like when you try to run a query and see an output in the query tool, if you make an error, more often than not, or most of the time, so to say, it specifically points you to where you are wrong. The error handling is a very important concept in a lot of applications in terms of in Python, in SQL, in whether it's Postgres SQL, whether it's MySQL, when you're writing JavaScript, things like that. How do you respond to errors? How do you like in terms of error handling? How do you like respond to errors? How do you like you could even, for example, this is an example with regards to Python. You could even create custom errors like for certain operation. It's very interesting. It's a whole new world in its own. But for us using Postgres, specifically pgadmin, error handling is going to be one of the easiest things for us. What do I mean by that? So we're not running on PSQL 2, unfortunately. So this should be striked in red. But we're working on pgadmin. So what I've been saying or what I'm saying is if you write something that's wrong, it will most likely tell you where you're wrong, what's going on. Sometimes I don't know if you notice that those times we'll try to run a basic group by I don't know, let's try to run something. I think I wrote a query here. So if I select all from a table that doesn't exist, for example, you can see it just tells us directly select all. So I'm using push code for select, oops, select all from where? From frog, for example. Frog doesn't exist. No table called frog. And if I run this, of course, what are you going to see? Relation frog does not exist. Error handling is one of the things that we don't have to stress ourselves so much. Like how do we respond to errors? And PG admin is very responsive. It's very intelligent. It's smart enough to, most of the time, you know, help us point out where we have errors. So now that you know frog doesn't occur in this database that you are referencing or you're working with, what do? You look for or you try to query tables or a table, that you have in your database. It's quite straightforward. It's quite straightforward. So this same also happens for things like the group by. Let's say I want to what can I let's say count or let's get the sum of what's it called? Let's look at the rental table, just a basic example that I'm sure we've seen before. But let me just try to write it down. Select all from film. I think film should have things like replacement cost and things like that that we can use to just play around. So if I say, I think replacement cost, okay, let's use length. No, let's use rental rate. So if I say sum rental rate, next sum rental rates, for example. So this is something we are aware of already. I shouldn't show you this, but let's just still show you. We're trying to output an error. Some rental rates, and let's say title or rating. So rental rate per rating. Yeah. From the film, what's gonna happen must appear the rating, remember when we're using aggregate and non-aggregate, the rating must appear in the group by clause. And in this case, we actually did not use the rating or the group by like and the group the rating didn't appear with the group by clause. And you can see if you go all the way down, the error like is straightforward. It tells you the column film.rating, that's the rating from the film. That's why you see film.rating must appear in a group by clause or be used in an aggregate function. So this is an error. So from this, just by literally reading or trying to understand what's going on, you can even see it tells us the line what is error, line 1, and it points directly at the error. So pgadmin is very straightforward, very simple, very sweet. So what do I do now? Of course, I literally need to put the group by. So I'll group by the non-aggregates, which is rating. So this is just an example. I'm sure we know, but it's just highlighting how to, example, work with errors in pgadmin. So many other times too, when we're working with tables, we're trying to insert things inside tables. Most of the time, you see the process start, then you wait a while, process failed, unfortunately. In that kind of situation, what do we do usually? We try to view the process. Yeah, you try to view the process, just like this is a reminder of what we've done before. Try to view the process, try to see where the error is coming from in the process or in what you've done. Because sometimes you might not necessarily know until you read the error message. So from reading the error message, you can deduce or you can understand how to approach solving that problem, for example. So it's quite error handling something like that we don't need to worry too much about because of how specific PG admin can be in terms of helping us that with that. So in this case, creating a non-existent table results in an error, and you can see relation does not exist. This is probably the error to show, or the non-existent does not exist. So I just put a random example there. So errors are detected interactively and can be fixed promptly if you're able to understand them. So this is also another example of something that you run that you receive error. We don't need to run this specifically, but I just want to show us, okay, this is, if you want to know what this is imagine you create a rental table, for example. See, you want to insert into rental, the rental ID, customer ID, rental date, and you insert this value, it works. Like this is base, let me zoom in, base insert into. And but you want to try it again, you now put the same, you want to insert into, okay, you want to put the same value like one, two, like putting duplicate values all through. It's not work, and it will literally tell you what's going on. Like pgadmin will literally give you like, oh, this is working, this is what's going on, this is what's going on. Yeah, you now try to deduce how you're going to work with that. So what I'm trying to say is that working with errors in this thing. So this is just the continuation of this example. So an AMD, you have to change the ID, to change the ID. So just an example, very basic example. And yes, I think we're able to get that it's very interactive working with errors or trying to fix errors in PostgreSQL. So with that, by the way, let's actually get into today's major course content. And I say major not to scare you. Um, Working with transaction in SQL is one of the simplest things that you will see in this class, in our classes. So you might be wondering, transactions. Do I mean like things relating to purchases or amounts like net currencies like buying and selling? Like you might be wondering like, okay, transact, because like I mean transaction, like, oh, I bought this from you, I made a transaction, that kind of example. I made a transaction at Wema, or at a restaurant close to Wema Bank, like normal paying for something. It sounds like that, but unfortunately it's not. So what is a transaction, for example? What are we trying to show you? So it dwells into the realms of one of the most interesting things you see in SQL. Also, a transaction is a series of commands, like series of commands or queries that you execute as a single unit of work. Don't worry with the definitions. I know it's already sounding somehow. A series of commands that are executed as a single series unit of work. So when you're working with transaction, you can, if you don't like what's going on or if there's a failure, you can always delete it. I will explain what I mean by this. I'll explain what I mean by this. So, but I want you to know that transactions, before we get into working with this, you see, it's so easy. It's easier than my explanation right now, self. So, transactions ensure data consistency and integrity. Transactions ensure data consistency and integrity. There's a common um, what's it called? There's a common lingua franca or is it lingua franca that I hear when people talk about transactions. I don't know if you've heard of it before, but people say things about transactions must be acid. I don't know if you've heard of something like that, ACID transactions. They're not talking about acid as per acid like the chemical or something. I'll leave that for us to research on acid transaction. What do we mean by acid transaction? It's very, very important or concept that we should just be able to understand. But yeah, transactions in SQL, they're just when you hear transaction, you work with the begin your transaction. You begin your transaction. If you want to do it, you will do it right now. You work with the begin. You work with the commit. And you work with the rollback. I don't know if any of us has worked with Git before or GitHub. But the thing is that this thing I want to show you now is something that as a data analyst you should kind of understand just a little bit. There's a reason why because I'll show you and you'd see why as I show you. So it's mostly used by database administrators. Sorry, Glory, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but your voice is breaking. It has
Okay, sorry.
some noise in there.
I'm very sorry about that. I've closed all my windows. We are using generator, country Nigeria. Yeah. So let me just give you a concept. Something I'll tell us about transactions. They are mostly used by database administrators though, but it's something as data analysts we should still be kind of familiar with. We should be kind of familiar with transactions. Transaction. I don't mean buying and selling. I don't mean buying and selling. So I want to just show you what this transaction means because I feel like I've been talking about it for a while and it's almost getting confusing. I've been talking about it for a while. It's almost getting confusing. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's actually go to PG admin. Or should we look at the slides again? Okay. Okay. So let's actually enter PG admin and show you what transaction means, for example. Right? So before we write anything about transactions, do anything about transactions, one thing you need to know is that transactions like okay, imagine when you open a query tool, if you notice, I have okay, while this loads, I have two query tools open. I have this one, they are both referring to the same database. They are both referring to the same database. Before we start writing a transaction, I want you to know that the base information that your transactions occur in sessions. I will write a transaction, a base transaction, very basic one now. In fact, I'm going to do that. Let's do this. Let's create a random table, and I'll show you what I would the reason why we'll be seeing very soon. So I'm going to create a random table. I'm going to call the table. Let's call table store employees or something. So that would be create table. Remember, create table. That's in my PostgreSQL database. Or let's call it HR employee. HR employee. So I'm creating. I think I've created this table again already before. But create table if not exists. Or let me just give it a different name. Uh, if not exists, actually, I'll also show you that. But if not exists, create table if not exists, and I put the name of the table HR employee. Basically, although this HR employee already existed, I've tested this on my database already. But if the table does not exist, it will create the table. So create table, you create table, then you put your data type. It's still the same thing. It's just that if not exists, it's just in case. Just so you know, just in case the data or the table already exists. So let me call this PostgreSQL employee. PostgreSQL employee. Create table if not I don't need to put if not exists. I know it doesn't exist actually. Create table if not exists for if PostgreSQL employee, and I will give this table three values. One will be employee ID. So I'll give employee ID. So let's call it emp ID. Emp ID. I'll give it an integer, right? I will give it, okay, let's say annual salary. Annual, so I'm already making a mistake. Annual salary. I'll give it an integer also. Oh, no, let's give it numeric. It can be in decimal or something. Numeric. And I think we should be done with this. I don't want to create a large table or something. I just want to create a very, very short table. A very, very short table. Very, very short table. Employee. annual salary. Okay, let's give them departments. Let's give them departments, employee unnecessary departments, because we have several departments in Pushem. So, or several things that we teach at Pushem. So, excuse me, department. So I'll give this, what can I give this? Let's give it text. I don't want to waste my time. So let's create this table, Pushem employee. Create a Pushem employee, query ran successfully. That's very good. So let's say select all. So we are getting to the process of making of running a transaction. I just want to show you from a base table. Select all from Pushem employee. Of course, when we do this, we just have the table structure, nothing inside. Select all, sorry, from Pushem employee. Excuse me. So yes, we just have what's it called? Our base query, but nothing inside, right? So let's actually work with transactions now. Let's put this in place. So remember I said something about transactions occur in sessions. So although I have two windows open here, two SQL query, two windows open. One is the one that we created and one is an empty distance. You can imagine this as two sessions, two login sessions. There's the reason why I said it's mostly for database administrators, but something we should get to know, something we should get to know as data analysts too. It will help our workflow depending. So, okay, select all from, okay, so I want to run a base insert into this table, right? I want to run a base insert into this table. I want to, so insert into, we know the insert into statement, right? Remember the insert into and things like that. I want to do something like that, but I'm not going to do it the normal way. I'm going to do it as a transaction. So let's talk about transactions actually now. So you see all my explanations. You just have your questions to ask and I'll answer them. But I'll give more explanations if you want. So transactions. So how do we begin a transaction? So the transaction, you can see that it's set as a set of operations. A set of operations. Transaction, things happening. Things are happening. Money is changing hands. Things are moving from one place or one person to another. Yeah. Depositing cash in the bank, and the bank now stores it in their whatever they store it, and somebody else now come to the bank and withdraw cash. Like I'm not talking about it in the fact that in the sense of money or buying and selling, but things are moving from one place to another. Processes are happening. So you can also see a transaction as a series of processes. So let's actually work with transaction. So I'm going to begin my transaction. So to start a transaction, so it's a sequence of operations, a series of operations. You can see it like that. So I have to, it's just like if I want to drive from here to maybe Chicken Republic. I don't know if you know Chicken Republic. Yeah, I'm sure we do probably. But I want to drive here to a restaurant. I'm in my house right now. I want to drive from my house to a restaurant. What do? I have to leave the house. Or let's say I'm in front of my car, I want to go to the restaurant. I have to put my key in the car, open the car, make sure the gate is open, drive the car, move. So like I have to start from somewhere, right? So in transactions or working with transactions, you have to begin from a point. And literally, how you begin a transaction is by using the statement begin transaction. Begin transaction. If I use begin transaction, if I just use begin also, on its own, I will also still start a transaction. So let me use the begin transaction query. So let's use begin transaction, or begin will start the transaction for you. So begin transaction. And the transaction we want to do actually is an insert into. So I'm going to run this now. I said begin transaction. You see the color has changed to, this kind of statement select from like color, right? So I'm going to run this begin transaction. So remember our table is empty right now. We have two sessions open. So begin transaction. I run this, begin query return successful. So you can see I don't need to put transaction there. But yes, now that we are begin a transaction, we want to start a set of operation. So what do I want to do? What do we want to do? Remember, we have an empty table. If I run this, right, we have an empty table. But I shouldn't have run that chart. But anyhow, we have an empty table there, or which you are seeing here. So we want to, what do we want to do? We want to, let's start from here. We want to insert something into the table, right? And the table name is called PostgreSQL employee. Insert into PostgreSQL employee, we want to use the, what do we have? Okay, emp ID, annual salary, and departments. So emp ID, if you remember, emp ID, we have the annual salary. So you're going to see how easy working transaction is. And we have the departments. 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 So once we set into what values do you want to give? Let's give them okay, let's just imagine something. So values will be, just give like 2 rows of data. So values will be one for the first row, one salary, let's say 5,000 or 50,000, I don't know. Let's say 50,000 departments, data analysis. So of course, text data analysis. Let's still give it something else. I'll just copy this and edit it. So the second value, right, that'll be comma. So we're not here to talk about create table, which I already talked about. So this should be 2, and this should be maybe 70,000, 80,000, and I would say DevOps. Let's call it DevOps. DevOps. So I want to run this. I want to run this. So I first of all note we are in window one. Note we're in window one. And we are running. We did begin transaction and we want to do insert into. Let's run this. Query run successfully. So now actually, normally, right? If I say selector from PostgreSQL employees, you would now see that we have these things inside PostgreSQL employees. I don't know if you can see. Are we together now?
Yeah. I'm seeing what
Is
you
am I
did.
alone? No problem,
Hello?
no problem. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay,
So
I'm seeing what you did this in the begin transaction, inserting proportion employee for values
no,
1 and 5,000 data analysis. I'm seeing it, sir.
no problem, no problem. So, I mean, note we are doing this on one session. This query tool, you can see it as a session, as a maybe login session, for example. So let me actually go to this second login session and say select all from PostgreSQL employee. So before we did the transaction, we actually created the table first of all, before we did the transaction. So even if I say select all from there, from here at this point in time, it was still there. I will still see it, right? So select all from PostgreSQL employee. After we did insert to from PostgreSQL. So this is after we did insert it to. Will we see anything? No. But when we do it from here, we are seeing an output. Remember, I said these are two separate sessions. These are two separate sessions. So what's going on here? Normally, this would not happen. In a normal instance of when you are working with the setting to literally, whether you, as long as you're referencing that database, yeah, you would see the results of what you did in any session. In any session, you see the result of what you did. But because we are working with transactions now, we only just from like only using the begin transaction, just like because like there with when working with transactions, you have the commit and the rollback. Commit and rollback. I'm not talking about it here, but the only thing you are seeing here is the begin. Begin, commit, rollback. Begin start the transaction. So a transaction has started and we made the transaction to be the insert into the table that's already created. Good. But unfortunately, in another session, someone can't see it. And why is that? The reason is because we have not saved the transaction. We have not committed the transaction. So things like this are very cool or important. I can give you a very simple use case. A simple use case if you are testing things, in the sense that maybe you might want to delete something from a table or delete a specific table. You might just, instead of doing delete table, do it as a transaction first. Or if you want to bring something in and you're not sure of things, like I'm not verified things from one or two places in your department or whatever company you're working, do it. You can, for example, a good use case would be doing it in the transaction first. So you're already doing it in one session. It's not in the not it's like a temporary, like you are partitioning, like you're doing it in a different session from other people. So when you see that what you are meant to do, well, what you did is right, you can save the changes, you can commit the changes. So the changes that are made during a transaction that has not been committed, yes, will not be saved. One thing to note, the changes during this thing will not be saved in database because there's also something called a rollback. So you can commit it and it will work, but like I can use the rollback to undo. It's like the Control Z. It's like when I'm opening my Excel, it's almost like when you're opening Excel now, you're doing things. If you edit something now, right? If you edit something and you say Control Z, it will bring something back. That's the rollback. We'll talk about it now, but let's talk about the commit. Let's actually make let's actually make what's it called? This transaction real. Let's make it real. Let's make it real for other people in other sessions, for example. So if I go all the way down and literally just see, let me do it from here. If I do all the way down and say commit query return successful. Let's go to another section, a session and run this. So I don't know if you can see what's going on. So until you use the commit, I think I was saying something, but I forgot to mention it. Changes made to it that to it saved. On commit, changes made to a transaction will not be saved. Will not be saved. So you can see when I said commit it, make it real, you can see even if I go for the push-m code 4, and I don't want to write this again, so I'll just copy. So in other sessions, you'd see what we did. Very interesting stuff. So let us do. So what? Well, let's do one more thing. Let's do one more thing. So I also want to do under insert. I'll do under insert into just to show us. And let's edit this. Let's edit the things to be 3, 4, 3. Of course, I'll call this cloud. See Azure and MS Microsoft SQL Server, MS SQL Server, MS Studio. So Microsoft SQL Server Management, Azure Cloud or Azure Source Cloud. Yeah, so let's try to input this and let me make this a bit to still. Let's make this about 100. Then that's 100,000. Let's insert this into, so from the transaction standpoint, let's check other sessions. So I actually made a mistake. One thing to note, I was too hurried there. Instead of doing this, I should have what's the word? I should have began on that transaction, because basically these transactions have been committed. So the steps have stopped. Like it's a new, I can start something afresh. So when you begin and you commit, you have basically saved it to a database. So I can start another process. So I should have started another process here. And let's just paste this and just type something random. So I've not run the begin transaction yet. Just so you know, let's make it 70. I'll make this 90. I'll just say Azure Cloud. Let's say just DBA here. So, but that's going to be 4, 5, 4, and 5. So let's run on that begin transaction for this, because the former one had been committed. So yes, committed, that commit had ended that transaction in a way. So I'll show you what I mean. So if I begin transaction now, of course, this thing I did now has been, if I check for other ones, it has been updated, 1, 2, 3, 4. So want to add 5, want to add 5 and 6. I mean, 5 and 6, sorry, 5 and 6. So I've begun a new transaction here, right? So I'm going to run this. Of course, will it work? No. Nope. It won't work from other sessions, you can see. But will it work from this session? If you want to see what's inside, of course it will. So from this session where we did transaction, we can see what's inside. We can see what is inside. We can see what is inside. Yes, 5, 6. So this is cool and all, but there's another concept which you need to understand. And the concept is called the rollback. So begin to start, commit to save the changes if you, whatever thing you did, like was a success. Rollback. Rollback is used if an error occurs, and also if you don't want, if you want to, what's the word? If you want to change. So within this here, right? I just did a transaction. I began a transaction and I added 5 and 6 here, which is DB and Azure Cloud. So within our transaction, you are seeing this output. But what if we realize that this is not what we want? We don't want this, like, we don't want to actually commit something.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Do you mean transactions are just for like feeding tables, because it's like what you have been doing at the beginning of the class, what you entering like.
No. It's just an example. I can update tables. So like the is used for, like, when mostly used, like very good use case is if you are editing tables. I can show you example easily with editing tables. Like, so this is I could use the data sets we already have, but those are bigger tables and you might not necessarily see the changes so easily. Like now, I just create a table and show you it. It's not just used for creating table, like you can, it's used for like when you're editing things, your table, you want to make changes and things like that, but you're not sure. So you make it as a transaction. So it's going to be only in one session. Only if you commit it that it now becomes safe. So within this session now, what I'm trying to say that within this session now, we have decided to, bringing something in a table is editing table, right? We brought something inside our table within this transaction. So within this session, so only in this session you see this 5 and 6 added. Or if we're not satisfied with this 5 and 6 being added, what if we don't want it to be added again? So this change hasn't occurred in other sessions, or in our session where we began the transaction, we don't want it to be added again. What do? We literally use the function or the statement or the query, this thing called rollback. So if I say rollback, I run this, query return successful. Let's look at the employee table. So only 1, 2, 3, 4. We did not commit this change, but we did it inside our transaction. So when we're inside our transaction and we're not satisfied with whatever changes were made to our table, we decided to roll it back. And now within our transaction, you see, or within our session, when we're running transaction, it's going to be the same thing with these ones. Maybe the same thing with these ones. It's going to be the same thing with this one. So maybe I should give you another basic example, another example too, because I don't want to look as if it's only when you're working with stable create table. It's not. It's not. It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. It's a very interesting concept, but yeah, this is an easy way that you can just see the what's it called? What's it called? Um, you can easily just see it's an example of it being used with me creating table and having short small data. You can see it easily. You can understand it easily, or you can see because like we have tables within this database with lots of data. I just decided to do it like this so that we can easily see changes and see what's going on. So, what should we do? What should we do? What should we do? Okay, we could decide to begin another transaction. So within this session, so we can decide to begin another transaction. Let's do one more example. One quick example. So I can just even say begin. Begin. Let me look at the film. I think if should I say the film table? Let's look at the film table quickly. I think my examples are done, Sha. Or let me just say, let's look at the film. So select cloud from film instead of pushing employee film. I'll show you one more tiny example. Just like I didn't want to do this, but yeah, let's do this. I don't like editing our major table. Major table. So let's delete from actor, or let's use the actor table. Yes, actor is better. Actor is better for me. Oh, let's use this one. So I'm going to delete this academy dinosaur from this session. In this session that we began the transaction by using begin. So let me copy this. So I'll say, remember how to delete something from this thing. Don't know if you remember how we work with deleting things from table. So this is not selector from film. If you remember, delete from film. All right. Where I think that was film ID. Film ID equals to 1. Thank God this is in a transaction, so this is not going to be until I commit this, it's not going to happen. Equals to 1. Right? So if I run this, error, okay, easy. They call it the foreign key constraint. Sorry. Let me use something else. Let's use still academic dinosaur. Let's see where let's not use an ID because it's a constraint. There's a constraint there. Let's see rental duration. No, let's see. I'll just call this where title equals to academic dinosaur. So where title, let's not use something that was a constraint title equal to, sorry about this. Let me just copy this from here. Academy dinosaur. Title equal to academy dinosaur. So I should put that within. Let's see. Oops, it's not that. We don't run begin again. Let me see what's going on. What's going on here actually? Select all from. It's aborted. Why is it aborted? Film. See what's going on. Aborted. Let's try. Let's begin it again. Let me use rollback.
I think you deleted it before this thing, before
Okay.
you put the where clause. I think that's
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I did. Okay. So well, let me just create the transaction again. Let's do it again and see what happens. I think maybe because of the error I had before. So delete from film, where title equals academic dinosaur. So let's begin a transaction. Okay. So delete from film. Let's not delete. So what's going on here is there were this database has some constraint. I think it's a basic constraint that goes on. is database. Key ID is reference to this. So if I delete this, a foreign key, there's something going on with this database because there's a constraint going on there. But if I use what like by constraint, there are rules to in the create table that they did when creating this that the company people from the building when doing this. But I can just show you this with this normal one we created too. So it doesn't have to be this other table. So we can select off from portion employee instead. Okay, we have ended. Give me a sec. Let's just do rollback and whatever. Let's do rollback. And let's see select all from portion employee. So let's use portion employee actually for this, not our tables. I don't really like deleting anything from those our general table. Portion employees. But I don't know if you're seeing it's not really crazy. It's not it's quite what's the word? Simplistic. Employee. So let's use this for this delete something. Yeah, so we have 4. So let's delete from portion employee where departments this is portion employee equal to data analysis. Data analysis. I haven't started the transaction yet, so mind you, I will have to begin a transaction first. But yeah, let me edit this. Be from portion employee where department. So let's begin a transaction. And let's run this. Delete successful. Let's see select all from portion employee. In our session, we don't have data analysis, right? So let's check other sessions. We still have data analysis. So you can see. I don't know if you can see Glory. Still have data analysis. So until I commit it or I say rollback. So I can either roll it back. That means I can either bring it to the former version or the current version with everything like that other sessions have, because in our session we don't have data analysis. So I can bring it back to this session. Oops, what have I done now? Okay, selected the wrong thing. So I can bring it back to this session by saying commit. So because of my mistake, the transaction was aborted. Let's just roll it back. There's errors, just use rollback. So yes, if we run this now, this thing wasn't that transaction wasn't committed. So it's not really complicated. So begin to start the transaction. So just like my slide. So if you begin a transaction and you do anything there, of course, it is not saved until you commit it. Literally, you just say commit to save it. So if there's an error, if you don't like the change or you don't like, just like us, there was an error, so we did rollback, right? Rollback, or we don't like the change, you can always roll it back. That's basically working with transaction in PGAdmin or in SQL, any how you want to say it. I'm sure it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. So we're gonna just have maybe one. I think I probably sent it within our course project. Just one question with transactions because it's very easy. Just one question on transactions. But I might even need to update that question. Just looking at something. If you have an error in that question, you could skip it though. And just realize something. So yes, that's if you want to be very advanced, you learn how to use the what's it called? Like how to use the command line tool, which comes with that's PSQL, and that or the SQL shell, anyhow you want to call it. So this is just a screenshot of a very it's a more complex, very advanced stuff. It's very hard for me to explain currently. Yes, this is working with transactions and things like that on the PSQL shell. So you can see language PSQL. This is not within the normal PGAdmin. So you can get very advanced with it. So begin, you see exceptions and things like that. So this is if you want to be very advanced and use, not just very advanced, use the PSQL tool or the shell, which is not what we are looking at. But let's just have a snapshot. This is just a snapshot of an example. I just wanted to show us. So yes, the query tool allows for immediate feedback, error feedback, and corrections, and you can just literally see the error, and you have to go and check. It tells you where you made your error, so you can use that as inference to know where to edit. like in that group by example now, this thing did not appear in the group by. So it's quite straightforward. I now know, okay, I'm meant to change this to group by, or to add group by the unknown aggregate, for example. So we'll practice. How was supposed to do this? Let's get some more practice. But this point in time, I think we have practiced enough for the transactions example. We still have two other things to talk about, two major things to talk about. I'm saying major, but don't be scared. It's not anything major in quotes. We'll talk about views, and we'll be talking about case statements. So basically your if and else. If and else. If you're That's if you're using Python. If else, elif. If you're using, I don't know if you know that one is from Python, or if I've done Python yet, or have knowledge of Python. But if you are knowledgeable with Excel, it should come a bit easy for you. Although the syntax is different, is the logic is still almost the same. The logic. So everything is logic, logic, logic. So I'm going to create this. I'm going to work on this new empty query tool. Let's work on a new query tool and see what we mean by views. Should we start from views? Okay, let's start from views. Let's see what I mean by views when we talk about views, views. So what am I even talking about when I say view? I think that's something that should be taken to heart. So what I'm going to do right now before we start talking about views, I'm just going to look for an old session. I'm going to look on my system right now. I'm going to look for an old class session we did together. Let's look for 18th November, no, 27th, 29 November. What do we do 29 November? Let me try to load the session. Okay, interested. We did joins. I just want to do something or show something. We did joins, we did joins, we did joins. We had several examples of joins. Interesting, right? So this one said list all what I'm doing right now, don't be scared. It's nothing. I'm going to a random query that we wrote. This one will try to list all the rented movies along with the detail of customers who rented them, including the movies that might not be rented. So this is all rental details basically. Movie rentals, movies plus rentals details, or let's say movie rental details. And when we run this, so I'll call this movie rental details. So what do I mean by creative view? By creative view, this is okay, movie and customers. Movies and customers, or like, oh, what can we say? Customer rented by customer. I don't know. We can call it anything. Sure. This is movie, and you have the customer they rented it by. So movie customer, yes, movie customer. We can call this movie customer, for example. So what am I talking about when I say views? So contrary to what we've been doing normally in terms of tables, I've been creating tables. When we create a table, we insert into, or you can bring your data from Excel as a CSV into your database schemas. Your tables are stored in schemas, and just by looking at our schemas, you can see. Remember, just by looking at it, I'm gonna show you guys expo, but just by looking at schemas, you can see our tables. That's usually when we're working with tables. So what of views? I don't know if I've heard of views before. I will assume we have not heard of views before. So what are views? What is a view? We want to talk about a view now, and I'm going to use this output. I just selected a random output, and I'm going to create a view of that. So, or maybe should I show something better? Let's use that random one first. Let's use that random one first. Let's use this random one. The random one was this customer something something. Yes. So I'm going to create a view. So what is a view before we create it? So if I create a view, I can what do I mean by view? Let me give you my simple definition. I'll give you the normal definition I want to give you. This output that you're seeing here, I'm sure we're seeing this output here. I could actually save this output as a view. I could actually save this output as a view. Or to make things a bit more, better, let's not even use something like that. Let's use something you can see directly. Let's say select all from fill. Something a bit not complex. So you don't think views have to be complex. Views can be from anything that you queryable. So select all from film, show me all my film things. Let's look at the film. Select the film title. That's the film ID. Let's say film ID. Film ID. I'm just going to choose random things from here. ID, and I'll use to create a view. Title. Let's say description. No, I don't like description. Description. Let's use release year. Release year. Language. No, release year. Rental rate length. Yes, release year. So this is us choosing some specific aspects of our table. I'm going to put film dots, but it doesn't change anything though. Release year. Rental duration. Duration. What I'm doing here is very simple. I'm just selecting what I want from our table. We all know this. And the length. I'm just selecting what I want from my table, LAGTH, right? LANGTH. So from where? Film. So of course, what this outputs is just the selected aspect of our film table. So do you know that I can store this output? I can store this selected columns. This output that we did is basically selected columns from the film. I can store this as a view. Do you know about that? Do you know that? I can store this as a view. I can store anything that gives me a query output. So I can store joins, the output of several joins. Maybe we're trying to answer the question like this question we're trying to answer now. It's me, I want to have this stored somewhere. I can. I can store it as a view. So let's store this easy one, and let's store the joins. Both of them are easy. It's not going to be anything. So, but just extra context is a virtual table. A view is a virtual table, and it is based on the result of a SQL query. So this is a query. All of these here are queries. But this specific query is me choosing specific aspects of the T film. Even this one, so this is joins and whatever. We can actually store this result they are seeing here somewhere. And we will not query, instead of us querying the film now, we'll be querying from this query. Okay, that sounds funny. We'll be querying from this query. So let me show you how we're going to do this, or what we're going to do if we want to save this as a view. So meaning that if I say select all, maybe I will select all. I'll not save from film. If I save this thing up here as a view, I'll not save from film. I'll save it as maybe I don't know, film. Let's call it film view. Select all from film view will show me what's here. Of course, if I do it now, since I've not created a view, I'm not going to see anything. I'm not going to see anything. So how to create a view is so easy. It's so easy how to create a view. Create. You literally just say create view as. So you create view, you give your view a name because it's like, the from. So let me show you. Create. I want to create a view now for this query, right? So to query this query, so create view. I'll call the view. Remember, I want to call it film view. Create view, film view. So want to create a view, film view. Okay, what is going to be the value of like what's going to be inside this film view, this temporary or virtual table, not temporary, a virtual table that I want to create. So select all from this. I'll put this here under. So create view, your view name, then the query you want to create it as a view, or you want to make a view, or save as a view, anyhow you want to call it. So if I run this, create view, view, same from film, what's going on? Select. Let me run this again. Syntax error, near select. Select SE. Wait a second, let's run this. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Let me copy this and paste it somewhere and try something. Don't know why that's going on there. Copy. I would call this something else. I'll say select. Select. I don't know why that's happening. It's quite embarrassing. Oops. What could my error be if I run this alone? Oh yes, sorry. Can you imagine? I've seen my error. So create view. What we fail to do here that's giving us error is as. So apologies for that. I just saw it as I pasted it. I'm like, okay. So not just create view, as. So I'm creating this view, film view. Okay, so what's going to be my value of film view? Is this select film title from this? So if I run this now, you know, see error. So sorry about that. Create view, query ran successfully. So now I can actually say, so film view did not exist before until I created a view called film view. So this film view, of course, is sure it's just selecting some specific what's the word? Specific aspects of the film table that we're interested in. So I can now query this query or query this view. So I say select all from film view now. This is not the film table. This is a virtual table. It's not like if you check, if you refresh this table, right? Let's refresh it and just confirm. Away. It's not feeling like it might be there. Film view, film view. Yes, no, it's not there. Film category, film actor, it's not there. But where will you see it? Where we see a view? We actually have a what's it called? A views. So we have the tables within this is all within our schemas, right? A view window. We have the tables window, we have our views window. So actually, if you go and check your database, sorry for the break in transmission. Let me see. Let me share my screen. So my screen is being shared. Yes, what I was mentioning is that we have what's it called? In your database, you already have some views already inside. So this database I had, so I created one or two views before. There's probably more than one or two, but yeah, there's some things created. You have, but the view that we did right now in real time, I'm sure we can all see it in the film view. Are we testing these things out at all? I want to know if we're testing all these things out. Can anybody hear me? Just to confirm. Please, can anyone hear me? I want to know if I'm audible.
Yes, yes, sir, we can hear you.
Just
I don't know if the
exciting.
Charles is with us.
Is it not a table?
But you are breaking.
Sorry. Let me do something about my network. I'm doing something about it right now. Right now, I have to. I have. Okay. Yeah. So this is view. 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 It is. You literally say create a view, and you give the view like that you want to create a value, and the value of our view right here is the table that comes out, you know, table in quotes, because I said the view is not a table, it's a virtual table. Our view here is the value that comes out when we select a few items from, from our, what's it called? From our film table, which was the film ID, the film title, the year, and the rent, okay, the year, the rental duration, and the length. So that's what we did there. So what I'm trying to say here is that anything reasonable could actually become a view. Anything reasonable, just go back and play around with this this thing I was talking about, this joint here. So if I want to save it now, so that I can easily query it. So I can query it like I normally query. So this is just select all from film view. I could do it, I could say select, just like you normal, like if I'm querying a table. I could say select title, right? Um, and there's okay. Let's say select rental duration, right? And I'll say let's instead of sum, let's do a count of rental duration. Count rental duration. I hope my logic will work. Duration from film view. So you can actually name it anything. Forget I put view there. I hope that's not confusing you. It can be, of course, we didn't use a group by. So group by rental duration. That's my bad or our bad since nobody told me about that. But it reminded me. Okay. So rental duration. Yes. So we have the total people. So what we have here actually is the, this is the total, like, okay, there were four customers, or let's say four transactions involving, not four transactions, 203 transactions involving people like, with that rented the CDs or DVDs for 4 days. So 203 people. So it can be the same person twice or at the same time, but like 303 sessions or times where it took, let's say 203, let's say transactions, what let's say transactions. I'm trying to picture this as a real life scenario, like it is a real life scenario where somebody, I came to your store and people that took 4 days to return the DVDs were 203. People that took 7 days, 191. So this 191, of course, this 203 can be the same person repeating 4 days all the time. It takes 4 days to submit it back. But the idea is okay, these are how many times that these instances of these dates or these times or this length of days occurring for it the CDs to be returned are. So I could this is a new, this is literally, I remember this is from the film view, not the film table. Not the film table. So let's create this as a view first of all. Let's copy this. It's going to be the same thing. So I'll just say customer rental. So this is a normal query, normal query, normal query. I don't know if you are hearing me a bit better. I hope we are. What if I want to save this or store this as a view? Create view customer. I think let's say return customer rates as. So if you don't put as, yeah, see a message. Okay, yes, you can hear me clear. Thank God. So yes. So if I run this create view customer rates, create view successfully, and I see select all from customer rates. So that our query customer, you can see the output of our query of our view here, which is this query. So it's quite interesting. You can query it, you can use it to do a lot of operations, select stuff from customer rates, am I rating? But so yeah, so this is a view. This is a view. So there are many use cases of, I mean, there are many things you can create views with joins. You can use a join. This is actually a join operation self. Actually looking at this. So this is a view from UAE. We're using concat, we're using joins, and we created as a view. So we can select all, we can filter, use some where, some this, some that, I don't know if you can get the idea. So it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. You can query the view. So it's like as if it exists as a normal table. But remember, it is not a normal table. It's a table, mind you, in quotes, but it is a virtual table. It's a virtual table. It's a virtual table, a virtual table, a virtual table, a virtual table. So
What do you mean by virtual table? Excuse me.
yes, so it exists like first of all, when I mean virtual table, first of all, it does not fall in the range of our normal table. If you go to our table view, you're not seeing it there. And why I say virtual table? Because it's not really standing on its own. Like in a way, it's a table as a result of a query.
Okay.
So it's, let's say, dependent. It has a lot of dependencies. You can see it like that too. It has a lot of dependencies. It has a lot of dependencies. So my views now, I should have like 13 views by now. Yes, which is the customer rate. Which is the customer rate. So of course, just like we can create a view, you can also delete a view. Create a view, you can also delete a view. And how do you delete it? Very easy. So how do you delete a table before? If you can remind us, how do we delete a table? Glory?
Mm, drop.
Drop what?
Drop employee.
No, 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 no. Is that what we say? Drop table. We just say drop employee if you want to remove delete employee.
The table is employees, the one you have created right now.
Yeah, for example, is
You
the
want to
table.
remove all of it, it's drop. If you want to remain with the handers, it's
Okay.
truncate.
So let's say the name of the table is employee. All right. So how will I delete
Drop
the
table employee.
drop table employee? Yes, drop table employee with delete employee table. So it's almost the same for view. So instead of drop table, it will be drop view. So drop, because you can see we actually have views here. Drop view. Want to delete a view? Drop view. You can see a lot of views, customer rates. So if I drop it, drop view, query run successfully, I can no longer say selector from customer rates because it does not exist. It does not exist any longer. It does not exist any longer. So views are virtual tables. They don't store data in quotes. It's just like there's basically the explanation I gave just now. They fetch data dynamically. So they forget the big words I'm trying to use. They basically fetch data right from the tables when like the other table. The tables is connected. Like if you see for select create that first one I would did select film ID and whatever. It's fetching this thing from the film ID table. So it's not like it has dependencies. Just like I said, I think that was best kind of explanation. Let's not spin it up. Let's not spin it up. So yes, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. You can query. You are basically querying a query. You are basically querying a query. So yes, it helps you just simplify things in some aspects. You might have complex queries you're writing, and don't want to be writing it again. You can see something, like you can extract something from it. Query, like you can query a query. It's quite. I think it's straightforward. I think it's straightforward. So create view as, then put your normal query. Create view as, you pull your normal query. Create view as, and you use your normal query. I think views are quite interesting. They're quite interesting. They're quite interesting. I think I might even have some questions for views. though. I think I have some views. Do I have such views questions? So we have some questions. Create a view, name comedy. Oh yes, I like this question. Because we first do a query first to get the output. So let's do this together though, quickly. Um, we still have the case to talk about. So let's do this example, talk about case, and see if we can do one more example of views again. I think we will still have some time. So create a view, name comedy movies that displays. So let me bring this here, and let's paste the question. Oops, so long. Next line, dash dash. Let's do this. Yeah. So create a view, name comedy movies that that displays the film ID, title, that's film ID, title, and release here of all films with the category comedy. So first of all, we have to answer the question. The create view is the easy part. Literally, create view comedy movies as as what? Let's actually get the back end for like the answer for this. So let's get the structure for the view we want to create. So we want the select film ID, right? Film ID, you can see all the way there, film underscore ID. We want to look at the title, so that's quite straightforward too. And release here. So I think this is going to be referring to the film table, obviously, of all films, the category being comedy. So let's do this. Select from category here or from category. I don't remember what's in the category table. No, we have several tables here. I can't really remember all. I don't know if we're hearing me, the connection being stable. Yes. So let's look at the category table. Okay. Okay. Yes, this is where we have the categories. So that'll be name. If you also want the comedy, the listing there. So let's also put it. We know the category is comedy, but let's also put the name there so that we can always see that everything is from the comedy listing. So let us. I think we can. It's okay. Safe for us to use. Okay. This basically join two tables, right? So want to join. So category. I noticed that's category ID. So let me. If I say select all from film. So film also have category ID. This is basically us working with joins again. But we're using joins to create a view. So select all from film. Film ID. I think we have done this before. This question. We have actually done this before. Looking at it. Looking at it. But it's good to always have refreshers. So let's get a refresher now. Or should I? Maybe I should. I feel I should leave this to someone to do instead of me. But just for time's sake, because still looking at the case statements, it's quite interesting. It's quite easy though. But let's just look at this. Let me be doing this and let's be watching. You know, I'm sure we know how to. We already used to this. So I mean, yeah. So let's look for a connector. I think we have something called film category. This is just me because I'm familiar with this database. Film category also have film ID. So let's use film category as a bridge to bring. So the reason why we can easily find us is because we know that our database is or contains a set of related tables. Like we understand the general case study or the general background that this is a DVD rentals, maybe in movie rental, anyhow you want to call it. This is a company. We are a company that has two major stores in two branches. And all these are detail DVD rental stores and stuff. These are details of that we collect when or in terms of like, okay, where do you have these details? Okay, where we bought the DVDs, we have the film actors, we have the rental, like when people come and buy, there are still data that they put down. When we buy to sell, we have it like we get the general context. So this will not, you can't just randomly be doing this in other scenarios that doesn't make sense. Related tables. We have related information. So from film, So let's join, so let's save him F, save him F. I don't want to see as F, so let's turn this to F dot. Let's turn this to F dot also. So from the film table, let's turn the name table. The name is going to be from category, that's C dot name. So I'm going to join. What am I joining? I want to bridge, right? Film category. I want something that will connect both of them, or connect one, like just makes sense. A connector or something. I'll bring all of them together, and that's the film category. Join film category on to F dot film ID equal to C. So film category, let's call it FC. FC equals to FC dot film ID. Thank you for the auto updates. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If we run this, I mean, we can't see the answer yet, so give us an error because what the hell is C dot name? C dot name, C dot name, C dot name is going to give us an error. Going to give us an error. So, I mean, we can now join. We can join the category. Join category. So I said C dot name. So category C on FC dot category ID equal to C dot category ID. Thank you, SQL. So let's run this. So we have, was release here needed? Okay, release here is needed. Okay, get the mistake. So we're not done yet. We're not done yet. Remember, this is the base answer, but we have to filter it by the category being comedy. So that's going to be where. So select from where. So where's the where going to be? For example, yes, where am I going to put where? Is it going to be after the from? Is it going to be after the join? Is it going to be after the select? Please, I need an answer for this. Glory, any answer?
I think after joint.
After join, okay. So that'll be where category. So that'll be where C does category. Where C. So that's not the category, that name, right? That's the name. C the name. I don't like doing this. C the name is equals to comedy. Comedy. Do we have a comedy movie? We have comedy. I mean, it should be comedy. There's horror and everything. Run, 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 run. Comedy. So I'll just say as film. Or let's say a category. I don't have time to spend. See, Cody. That's just me giving an alias there. So yes, we are actually done. So we want to create it, want to save this as a view. Want to save this as a view. So, and remember comedy movies. So it's very easy. So how do I say create this as a view? So this is how we get like this is our structure of the view. It's connected. This view is connected to three like dependencies: the film category, and the category. Sorry, the film category, and the category. The category. I'm talking about tables now. So the dependencies. So let's save this view. So that's be create view. The question was called the view comedy movies, comedy underscore movies, right? I mean, if I run this together now, it won't work until I put the as. If you remember, do we remember? I'm sure we do. So as, I'll just copy and paste this because patience. I like patience. Okay, yes, so let's run this. Oops, remember, I'm just in my head. Sorry about this. I'm just in my head. I'm in my head. Sorry about this. What have I done now? I'm just in my head. So create view comedy as yeah. So we're actually done. Sorry about that. We're actually done. Create view comedy movies as. So if you go up, you can see and confirm. Create view comedy rate, customer rate as. So we're actually done. So I was in my head. So let's run this actually. Comedy movies already exist. What do we do? What did we do? What did we do? Already exists. Okay, let me drop view. Or did it run just now? Anyhow, so let's drop the view and run it again. Drop view. I think maybe I did this to test this question out. So drop view, comedy movies. So that's my bad. That's my bad. So let's run this, drop view. So let's do it again. So create comedy movies as did I do now? What did I do now? Excuse me. Yes. Oh yeah, I started it from here instead of from this apostrophe. So yeah, you can see, the SQL being specific. So let's to where our errors are. So select all from comedy movies now. Comedy movies. So we have successfully made this query, a bit complex though, but interesting nonetheless. We have saved it as a view. So I also put the comedy category there to just know that the category name to just confirm. We can just go through and see that, oh, we're actually correct. We were actually correct. So any questions so far? I think it's quite straightforward-ish. It's easy-ish. Not ish. It's quite easy. Create view as the problem or working with views. The hard part is not the creating views. You can see create view. It's like you're storing things to a folder in a way, like just you can imagine it. You're saying bringing things inside a shelf. The hard part is not the bringing things inside the shelf. It's making the shelf. Let's say you are in US and what's it? What the there's this furniture company in the US. Is it a furniture company? There's a company that you can just go and buy furniture that you have to assemble it yourself. I've forgotten, see it online. I don't know if you know it in the US. But yeah, the main part now, you have a house, you have bought a house. You have to stay, you are buying the furniture, but unfortunately now you have to assemble the furniture yourself. It's not putting the bedspread on the bed that's going to be a hard part. It's you now from a place where, coming from Africa, where you can easily just buy furniture or just bring it in. Like you have to literally assemble it yourself, and some that can be a bit hard. So yeah, the main parts, I digress. So the main parts of the view is not the creating view. You can see this is the syntax. Create view this as. So that's the main part. This easy part. The main part is configuring or answering the question. By the end of the day, you're trying to answer a question. Yeah, you are trying to get more information about data. We are trying to analyze your data. Yeah, so from our data, we are able to categorize, from our tables, we're able to categorize, the movies and brought them all together and we saved it as view. So I think it's quite straightforward. It's quite straightforward. The hard part is not the view. Create view as you're done. The hard part is do we know how to answer whatever questions that were being asked? Do we know how to go about it? What are we using? Are we using the join? Are we using this? Are we using that? That's the annoying part, or that's the hard part, or the main part. So yes, we are done with creating views. We're done with creating views. We can have other examples, but every day the syntax create view, give the view a name, as what. So that's not that the creating the view part is not the hard part at all. To answer the question. So we have case statements. Case statements. AKA, let's say AKA, if statements or if function. I'll just say statements. If statement or function in Excel. So let's say AKA, I'll say equiv. The equivalent is the is in Excel. So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? So if this is this, return this. I can literally open Excel and run a basic if statement for us if you want to see that. But it works in its logical conditions and everything. If this is this, let's say we have our film table, we want to look at the length of the movies, if the length of even in Power Query, yes, Power Query we still have the if I say Power Query, Power BI. That's when we're working with DAX. We still have the if statement. That one is even easier. But anyhow, let's look at the equivalent to SQL. The equivalent to SQL now it's not going to be like the concat that we have the direct equivalent or the upper or the lower. It's just going to be a bit different, but the logic or the logic or the way the framework is the same. It's the same framework. It's the same framework. So let's look at what I'm trying to say. What is the let's see the direct equivalent of the if statement or if function, if I want to say it like that, in SQL, specifically Postgres or PG admin, I want to call it. So we have a question. I think we have a question, a case statement question in this in this our views and this thing. I think it's number 3. Use the comedy movies. Okay, number 2. Yes, number 2. Use the comedy movies. I think this is it. This is it. This is a question on case. So let's paste it here and let's answer it together. Use the comedy movies view. Oh, interesting. So why isn't a view? So why isn't a view? Why isn't the case statement in the view? Interesting, interesting, interesting. So list all the movies released after the year 2005. Interesting. So how do we go about it? So we could query a normal table. But let's query the views. Movies released after 2005 now will be for the comedy movies view, which is just this is just going to answer the question for comedy movies released after 2005. That kind of scenario. So let's use the view. Let's just use the view. We can use the table, but since the view has already selected, got the comedy movies and whatever, let's use it. So it's comedy movies to release all the movies. If we didn't want to use this view, we could change the view and remove these parts where cinema so that it will cover all types of movies. But let's use the view since the question told us to use the view. Since the question tells us to use the view. So how are we going to attempt this? Let's watch and see. So what we want is all the movies released after whatever. So I'm looking at this and I am going to what's the word? This is not I looked at this again. This is actually not a view question. This is actually not a view question. Sorry about that. This is a let me just write the answer. This is not a view question. Sorry about that. I just looked at it again. I took a closer look. So that'll be select all from comedies. Sorry about this this mistake from my end. I just looked at it again, like what the hell. So select all from comedy. This is not a view question. This is not a case question. Sorry, a question. Some comedy. Select all from comedy movies. So sorry about that. If I caused the confusion here. So beware release here. So I was just looking at this. I'm like, what did I just say? Release here. Return 2005. So this is also going review. This is not a distinct question. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So all this is one line, although I don't like doing like this. Let's just see the output. But this is not a case statement question. That was an oversight from my end. An oversight from my end. So that's actually let's use like I think that's number 3. Let's actually look at a case statement question. Yes, look at it. I just looked at it. Well, use a query to categorize films into short. This is it. So if movies is something short, if something is something long, if something is something medium. So if you put your if, you give it a criteria, right? So what is the value to return if criteria is met? So that's how we're going to do what we're going to do. So sorry about that, and let's actually explore this together. So this is let's comment this out since this is not what we're looking at. I'll just copy this again and paste. Oh, let's copy the question first. Sorry. So medium 90. So conditional something. Like through a condition, or if a condition is met, you receive a certain output. So let me just copy and paste this again, or let's cut it since that was not view to not confuse us if we're maybe looking back at the videos or something. So case statement equivalent. Let's look at it now. So write equivalent to categorize a film. So it's short if it's greater than 90. So you can see, you can be imagining writing greater than 90 minutes. It is medium length if it's between 90 and 120. So literally, I'm speaking English, but I'm already giving the answer. And this is if it doesn't fall into these two conditions. So let's go about it. So write a query to categorize films into short, medium, and long. I think it's just quite easy. So we're interested in the film table, of course. Select or excuse me, we're interested in the title. We're interested in the length of the films, right? We're interested in the title. We're interested in the length of the films. So I'll show you this. First of all, press title, length. We're not done yet. We're also interested in the category. We're basically categorizing these movies by the length. So Of course, the answer or the out, like we're going to see this in a table, like a table, like when we run this query, a table is going to give us an output. So we're actually going to see a table in a table where we see the resulting output, which is the title length. Then that's two columns, right? We're actually wanting to see a new column, right? Which will give us, okay, this length, this film length now, right? Is it short? Is it long? Or is it medium? We'll actually see an additional column which is tell us that. But how do we create the column? How do we create the column? So we have the select title, interesting, very interesting. Let's just say from film. So what we want is a third column that gives us info. What's going on here? Oh yeah, I put a comma. That will be for our third column. And that's what we're going to be using our case statement. So what we want actually now is a third column that says, okay, this academic dinosaur that is 86 minutes long, right? I could just even make it a bit dynamic by saying length and concatenate, let's say minutes long, minutes long. Concatenate, let's there be a space in between also. So be a space here and to see, so length minutes long. So I'd say let's run this. Yeah, so I'll just say as how long? No, as full length, movie length. I don't know, length, movie length. So not so I don't want to complicate this for you, but I just want to make it a bit sweeter. So nothing's going on here. This is just me using Concord. Okay, this movie Academic Dinosaur is 88 6 minutes long, 46 minutes long, 50 minutes long, etc. Not to complicate anything, or I just it looks a bit more sweet. Like I even change title to film title or movie name. Anyhow, but let's just do it like this. So we actually want a third column that gives us, okay, that filters by the condition. Okay, it looks at the length. Is length less than 90 minutes? Okay, it's 86 minutes. So this is actually short. It looks at the way a fair prejudice. Oh, a fair prejudice is not less than 90 minutes. Is between 90 and 120 minutes. So it's a medium length movie. So let's actually do this. So select this thing. So in our third column now, that's what we work with the case statement. Yeah. So we say what we say now. Let me go to the next line. Let me go into the select, right? Two comma case, case, case. We use the case. So it's like saying if, if, and it's actually case when. So let's not say case when, or it's case. I just say case. But in that, once you start the case, now you start saying if, you start saying if, but you don't say if shall, but case when. Let's put it like this. The case when, so like there's a case. I'm bringing the case so to the court or something. So when the length table, really, for length, I say length table, length column, you can see it's what's short is what less than 90 minutes, right? I mean, you can see less than 90 minutes. I can literally say less than 90 minutes, like the symbol. When length of the movie, right? When length is less than 90 minutes, then what will happen? Or then what output are we going to see? So case when, so case the condition. So case when, then condition. Case when, condition. Condition is length less than 90 minutes. Then what am I going to see if this condition is met, which is length less than 90 minutes? I would say then. I would literally say then. I wanted to say short length. Short length. I'm not done. So I start with the case, I go with the when, I put a condition, then what will happen if the condition is met. So as long as I start with the case, I can keep saying many conditions. I can keep putting many if conditions in a way. It's not if, but it's when, but like you can get the idea. When a condition is met, you put when, then condition, then return output if the condition is met. So the next thing is medium is 90. So before length is less than 90, but medium now is equal to 90 or it's between 90 and 100. So let's do that. So that is with anything 90 and 100 is greater than 90. Because see, this is less than 90. Like you're still trying, you're trying to do this, you're also trying to think about your logic. The logic, like the logic behind it, like the, you don't want to do something that doesn't make sense because you see outputs that you don't want. So where what length? So I'm still looking at length, LENGTH, where length is between, remember the between 90, I will not say 90 minutes because it's a text, 90 and 120. So when condition here is length between 90 and 120, then what will happen if the condition is met? Literally, then remember medium length, LENGTH. So we have set two conditions. So anything that is less than 90 will show short length. Anything that is equal to 90, that's 90, that's between 90, 91, 92, and 120. So anything that can be, it can be 90, it can be 120, it can be 117, it can be 118, it can be 119. Anything within this range is medium length. So in a way, if you look at this, I've accounted for 1 to 120. Less than 90, that's 1 to 89. I'm trying to talk about the logic behind it now. But length less than 90. Less than 90 is like anything, is basically even 0 to 9, but there's no such thing as zero length. So it's going to be from 1. I don't think there's any movie 1 minute long, but you get the idea. So anything 0 to less than 90 is like saying 1 to 89 if you're counting positive numbers. And anything between 80 and between 90 and 120 is like, okay, we have 1 to 89. Here we now have 90. After 89 is 90, right? 90 to 120. So long movies now is going to be anything higher than 120. 120, higher than 120 in length. In this kind of situation, I will not say when again, because we have three conditions actually looking short. If you look at this, we have the short, we have the medium, and we have the long. Short has been defined 1 to 80 minutes. That's anything less than 90 positive numbers. Medium has been defined from 90 to 120. So 90, you get the idea. So long movie now is greater than 120. So instead of me saying when length greater than 120, I will not do it like that again. Because now that final greater than 120 is the last condition. It's like, okay, if these two conditions are not met, like, and first of all, it just depends on how you go about writing your logic. So if it's not 1 to 89, or it's not 90 to 120, it's basically 121 and above. So what I will do in this case, I'll not say when it's greater than 121 or what it's, I will not end it because, like, basically, if it doesn't, remember we have three conditions. And if it doesn't meet 1 to 89 or 90 to 120, it will meet something greater than 120. So I will not say, because remember, conditioning, else. So else, now if I say else, that means if it doesn't meet these conditions, that means if it's not 1 to 89, if it's not 90 to 120, else, what will I call it? I'll say long length. Long length sounds funny. Long length. So this case, I don't know, probably this is your first time looking at it, but don't look at it as somehow. You start with the case, you put your when, you put your condition, then you put your then, put your when, like so. If we have more than 4 now, I'll probably have 3 when conditions here. And I'll write it in a way that if let's say if we have 4, I'll put 3 when the condition, and I'll write it in a way that if the 3 are not met, right, it will meet the 4th. I'll write it in a way like that. So think of it's logic. So if I run this, actually, this thing now is its own new column. So I'm not done yet. I'm not there if I forget. If I mean, I could do this and it will work. I think it should work. Okay, it's not working. It's not working. So let's probably do it well. As I remember saying that we're not done. I remember saying we're not done. I remember saying we're not done. So let's finish this. So let's end as. So end as here is now giving it. I don't know what's something going on here too. When here. Oh yes. Okay, don't. Yes. End as, so let's give the column a name. Let's give it length LGTH. But let me try something. LGTH category. There's something that comes to my mind as we're doing this right now. So let's run this again. Okay, so it run. So it's me because I didn't put the enders. So I'm sure it wasn't going. So let me try to say one more time. One more time. Let's try one more time. I've tried it. I think I've tried it sometime and it worked regardless. Or maybe that means it's all in my mind. It's all in my mind. So yeah, you can see two columns, then the third one in the case or within the case statement. Two columns, end as length category. I don't like length category. Let's say movie length. Oh no, we already have movie length. Okay, let's say length category. Length. Well, let's say category. I don't know. This one is okay. It's okay. It's okay. Don't mind me having been in silent about the names. But I don't know if this is looking. Or I don't know how this is looking to us. Papa Charlie, what do you think? Does it look strange, sir? Glory, what do you think? Is it strange looking?
Mm,
Feel free to air out your thoughts. Glory, I think
what's
you're
the meaning
saying.
of those double bars you have put in the after length?
So this, remember, I showed us that. Did I show us? Okay. Do you remember when I talked about concats?
Okay.
Do you remember? And I said there are two ways of doing it in Postgres or pgadmin: the double bars or the concats. Or maybe I didn't. I'm sure I did.
Okay.
I did. Or I could just change it to something I used to, which is normal concats. So I enclose,
No,
oops.
it's okay. I was just asking.
Yeah, I
It's
could use,
okay like that. I was just asking to understand.
yeah, I could use the concat instead of this. So in case maybe I'm not comfortable with this type. So length, so I could do it like this too. Minutes long. It should work regardless too, right? Length and minutes long.
So by
Yeah,
length
it's the same
category, you
thing.
mean like
So I
what
use the
will be the
concat
title
instead of
of
that
that
one,
center, right?
just to play around. What's your question?
I'm asking end as length category. It means the
So it's
label of
like
that
give
column.
title. Because remember, this case is inside your select. Notice title, concat, whatever. If I can even make this not look annoying. Let's not let's break it. It's looking that thing there. I purposely did it actually. It actually makes it look complicated. I mean, but it's basic stuff because it's not looking long, but it looks complicated. So let's remove that from our next system and just put length only. Let's put length only. Don't need to put as moving length. Don't put an alias there. Let's put title length. So this is within the select statement, this case. I decided to write it like this so that to look a bit more clear. So you can see title length, the length category. So this is within, this is all select, all within.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, the same thing. Just this one looks more complicated. Looks more longer because now you see concat or whatever. I play around with things there. Yeah.
Why have you decided to clear or what was the importance of the first query and
Yeah.
concatenate and everything else?
What do you say?
I'm asking why have you decided to clear what was the essence of the concatenate? Because the first and the second query are bringing the same answer, right?
Yeah, you can see length in this one. We just title one length. I'm just only seeing the length. In the concatenate now, I wanted it to show something. It is instead of 86 minutes long. So if I run this first one and I change the title to movie length, instead of 86 minutes long. I don't know if you can see. Instead of
Okay.
48 minutes long. So I added minutes long. So you can see me saying concatenate. or concat length, comma, let it be a space in between. So I can change this to dash dash or anything I want, right? Can I put an emoji? I've not tried it.
Okay.
I've never tried that before on SQL. On SQL, but I'm trying that in Power BI and this thing. Yeah,
It's
it's
like you're defining what length will be, like the name of the length,
no,
whether it's centimeters,
no,
something
no,
like
that's
that.
not I'm
And it's
doing. That's not I'm doing.
what's the
Don't
essence
get
of
confused. I'm adding minutes long to it. If I say, remember that time where I said, oh, if I say, for example, let me just do this. I said something like that before. I've done something similar to this. Select title from this thing, select, and I put movie length for movie length inside here. This is a text, so in the select statement, and I say from film. It's going to give me three columns. Going to give me title and length column. I'm going to give me a column called movie length that you see only movie length throughout. Like movie length, movie length, movie length, movie length, movie length, movie length, like you can see movie length all the way, 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 like only like
okay.
it's gonna populate a new column of movie length. So because of that, I know that if I say concat and I say minutes long, this minutes long is supposed to be a column, like, but there's no column called minutes long. So you can see me writing it as a text. So because I write it as a text, it literally populates the entire like, and I'm saying concatenate. I want to add length, and I want to add an emoji, and I want to add minutes long. So minutes long, even if I put it somewhere outside, just going to say move it. I don't know if you get. So it's just a text that's going to repeat itself throughout that column.
Okay.
Even this, you can see even this fire, whatever emoji. I mean, let's say clock. Even that emoji, it's still, what's the word? It's still enclosed within it's enclosed within a text, this thing, not a column distance. So it's still gonna work. It's just fun ways of working. It's 6 minutes long, 7 minutes long. Like I'm adding, so you can see now the movie length is no longer a what's it called? Before I think maybe it was numeric because I added yeah, or integer. No longer an integer. It's now like a text. But I'm not using that this thing for anything here, so I don't know. I just wanted to make it. I don't know if you get just make it more the output a bit more finer instead of the 86. 86 watts. I know it's not minutes. I know it's hours. There's no film that's going to be 117 hours. That's not a series. And this is not film series. These are movies from a database, like just me understanding the background knowledge about it. So I just wanted that to be, you can see the difference. I wanted to basically polish up or freshen up, freshen it up. That's the word. That's what I wanted to freshen things up. Freshen things up. So at the end of the day, today we have been able to talk about three concepts: the transactions. We have been able to talk about views, and we have been able to talk about what did they call sorry about the pigeon English. I've been able to talk about case statements. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Very, 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 very interesting stuff. So let me say select all from film. I don't. I'll show some example, but time has gone from films. Time has gone. So the case name is just, and the way I wrote it, it doesn't. Remember, in SQL, usually space in doesn't matter. I wrote it like this so that we can a bit see it a bit better. Like, you know, I could put them all in one line, but it's a bit too long, and you get the idea. So if you put it like this, it's not as if it's starting its own this thing, but you get the idea that this is all within the um select. This is within the select. Within the select. So yes, yeah. Rental rates. I could play around this for rental rates too. I can see if rental rates. I can just edit it. Like if rental rate is greater than 5, this is expensive. No, if it's greater than 2, is medium price. I don't know. With medium rates. Let's play around this. I can do one more again. I'll just edit this. So rental rate you can see. If I say I can see rental when rental rate is greater than 2. When rental rate is greater than 2. If I give it like if I put something there and the logical conditioning doesn't make sense, of course, I'll see error. Example, let me just quickly, I don't error greater than 2, then medium, no, let's say less than or equal to 2, less than equal to 2, then say medium or not too expensive. Let's say not too expensive. So less than equal to 2. So when it's greater than 2, or let's say when it's greater than, let's change them. I'm thinking of a logical condition to give it. So let's say when it's less than equal to 4, I'll say a bit expensive. So else too expensive, for example. So anything less than 2 or equal to 2, not too expensive. Anything less than equal to 4, bit expensive. So let's try this out and see if our logic works. So end as length, so the rental rates category. You can see it's just your normal knowledge of Excel, but case, logic, when, condition this, condition that. So you can see I'm able to spin up something else. So anything that the rental rate is greater than 2 or is less than 2, it's not too expensive. You can see 0.99 not too expensive. 4 is greater than 4. You can see less than equal to 4. This less than equal to 2 now will be 1 to 1.9, because it's not equal to 2. No, 1.1 1 to 1.99. It's not equal to 2, so it's not expensive. Oh, sorry, less than equal to 2. Maybe 1 to 2. Sorry, 1 to 2. This one now, my logic, remember logic, I also said less than equal to 4. But I mean, I also said less than 4. But remember, I said less than 2 before. So this less than 4 is not saying 1 to 4. This less than 4 is saying 2 to 4. Less than equals 4 is saying 2 to 4. I don't know if you are getting the idea. It's logic. You're working with logical conditions, like, and things like that. Logical conditioning. We're working with logical conditioning.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
else. So anything that doesn't fall into less than 2, less than equals to 2, which is 1 to 2, will fall into less than equals to 4, which will not be, because of this first one here, it's not going to be 2 to 4, sorry. It's going to be 2 points, anything to 4. So anything now that is 4 points, something and above, is too expensive. So just, you can see, I played around with logical conditions. So 0.99, not too expensive. So 2.99, so a bit expensive because it's greater than 2 now, right? I don't know if you get, it's logical condition, okay, but you start with case. When you want to specify a condition, you say when. Then
Okay.
when you want to say, okay, what's going to show us in our columns when the condition is met, you say then. You keep doing that until you arrive at the point that, okay, what if if I, let's say I put 4 conditions, right? What if all my 4 conditions are not met? Like, what can I say if all my 4 conditions are not met? Now I'm at the end of I've put several conditions, my logic makes sense. Okay, but what if none of the conditions are returned? That's when I use the else. And don't forget enders to give it a column header. I hope you understand a bit more, Glory. And Papa Charlie.
So I understand it's if condition.
Yes, it's basically if.
And the difference with Excel is that in Excel you don't put the column title like the way you're putting end as this to tell it
Yeah,
that's the
the
column.
structure is just different, but the logical, like the way you reason it, is the same thing. So I think
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
come to the end of this class today. We want to thank you guys from Pushem. You guys are doing good. You guys are doing great. I think our progress has been awesome. Has been awesome. So please let's check the mail that was sent to us. That mail contains our course project, that we want to be done hopefully before Friday. I don't know how possible that is, but yes, at least by
By
Friday.
Friday.
Yes,
The
or at
the
least
project by Friday.
Is that sorry about that? Sorry about that. Okay.
At least
By
give
Friday,
us
let's
weekend.
have let's have reached a good level at least. No, just attempt it. Just attempt it
It's
first.
just tomorrow. Oh.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. When you just attempt it, we're not trying to make it difficult for you. We are also understanding. Just let's see. Attempt it. It can be 3, 4. Let's see where we can reach. But that course project is very important. And if you look at it, I think it's a bit too easy though. Somebody was telling me that I always say things are too easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that so? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll
You
say
see,
thank you
you are
guys.
used to, you are used to,
We
yes.
can do it.
I'm saying, you see, you're used to the SQL, and as you're introducing, so you'll not be the same level, but you'll try. I don't know if Chelsea is in the call or what. It's not of him not to be speaking.
No problem, no problem. So thank you very much, Glory. Let me allow you guys
Thank you,
to
sir.
go our ways for today. Thank you very much, Papa Charlie. So we'll see you guys in our next session. Have a nice, let's say day. It's night over here, but have a nice day. Let's say that. Thank you very much.
So Friday, no class.
Friday, though, I think there should be a class. But if there's no class, it'll be communicated to us. But let's put in mind that there'll be a class.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care.